everybody. I'm here today with Tracy Schreifels, who does a lot of work with infant and early childhood mental health specifically. And I wanted to talk with Tracy a little bit today about some hands-on strategies and tools to use in the classroom when working with kids who have experienced trauma and stress. When we work with these kids, right, we see a lot of issues with feelings and understanding their own feelings and their bodies and how to regulate their bodies. So what kinds of strategies and tools have you got for us today?
In my full-time work at Head Start, we work with the birth to 5 population, and my teachers are often saying, what do I do with this child? How do I help this kiddo? And sometimes we know the child's history and sometimes we don't. So sometimes that takes a little bit of discovery, but there are some common basic things that we know are good for all kids to help them learn about emotions and learn about regulation. I'm really big into using sensory items, so this is a weighted dog. They also make weighted cats and other animals as well. If you're going to get some of these, I recommend that you look for the ones that are washable, because well, in preschool and early child classrooms, there's a lot of fluids that might come in contact with them, so washable ones are best. We might have the child put this on their shoulders or on their lap, and if it's on their lap during group times, we're telling them that they're the doggy helper, and so they have to help calm the doggy so the dog can stay calm at group time. We find that when we transfer some of this into an object, the child is better able to regulate themselves as a result of helping something else regulate.
When you have it on the shoulders, what is it that you expect? Like, what is the pressure on the shoulders kind of signify for little kids?
Sometimes kids don't know where their body is in space. And so when we tell them to sit in one spot, they don't even know where their body is. So to ask them to keep it in one spot is really hard for them to even conceptualize. Right. So by putting weight on their shoulders or on their laps, it gives their body sensory input that says, here's where I am and here's where I can stay.
And I'm just finding it really comforting just sitting.
Most
just a little
adults,
bit of weight.
Yep, they just,
okay.
Yeah. Usually when I hand these out at the beginning of the year to the teachers, at the teacher training, all of the teachers have them on or on their laps. And it kind of is a nice highlight that says too, like, even though we're adults and we may have grown up and can do it on our own, we still benefit from having some tools sometimes and strategies too.
Exactly.
So some other things that we do is I provide fidgets to use at group time. So this one's called a pickle, and it's kind of a hard rubbery plastic. And if you rub it between your hands, it gives lots of sensory input. For some kids it hurts. If they have a little bit more sensitive, but some of our sensory seeking kids, it works really well for. They can squeeze it, and it's quiet, it doesn't make any noise, so it's really helpful. Another thing that we use are kind of like stress balls, except for I had an epiphany one time as I gave out stress balls to the classroom. Young children see ball and they think, throw! So we now use things like fish or stars or objects that are different shapes than balls, so that they can have them with them at group times, sometimes during transitions, to keep their hands busy, because if their hands aren't busy, they'll come up with something to do.
To do with their hands.
They're really good at it. They're very creative.
Creativity is great. Most of the time.
We'd like to channel it.
Channel the creativity. Exactly.
I also talk a lot with kids about that there's a difference between a fidget and a distractor. And so I'm very clear with them, like even with the sensory objects at group time and things that, like, as long as it's a fidget, they can hold it, but if it becomes a distractor for them or anybody else, it's going to get put away.
Gotcha. Well, what about this feeling buddies?
Yeah, so this comes from conscious discipline, and this is also another play-based type of strategy. Like if they're feeling angry, you might bring them over to where this is, and you might say, oh, and you encourage them to hold it, and you might say to them, I'm feeling angry. Hi, angry. And you say it, and then the child would say it back, like, hi, angry. It's okay. It's okay to feel angry, and the angry can go away. And you can coach them, even saying things, is there something that we can do to help angry calm down? And oftentimes they'll give them a hug, or they'll talk to them a little bit, or just squeeze them a little bit. And again, it's kind of an externalization of emotions into this inanimate object. And then I am not angry. I can feel angry. I can feel feelings, but I'm not that. I don't have to be that. And then we talk about, now that you're calming down, we might take out the happy or the calm, or even when we find out sometimes they were angry, but underneath they were scared or they were disappointed. So it also helps us get to that secondary emotion that actually happened prior to angry.
Right. What got you to angry?
What got you to angry?
Probably one of these other buddies up here.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
Kids don't, I always say they can't tame what they can't name. So this also helps with the identification. Like sometimes they'll have a mirror in those areas too. Like, let's look at you. Which one of these buddies do you look like? And helping the child identify, or the teacher might say, oh, I see your eyes are like this and your mouth is like this. Let's see which buddy you look like.
Right.
And using that tool to help them identify with the buddy's feeling to help them self-identify their feelings too. Sometimes they don't even know what's taken over them.
Right.
I had a child one time tell me that he had a monster inside of him, and came to find out that his monster was pretty much anger, and he thought that something was actually taking over his whole body. So when he learned, and we talked about everybody has that feeling, and we talked about it, he was so relieved. Like, oh, I think he felt like he was the Hulk. Like something was going to come busting out of him at some point in time. We really shouldn't take for granted that kids might know these, because we oftentimes think that they know emotions, but if they don't even have the feelings vocabulary, that also points back to that's something that's very easy to teach. Are you feeling a little bit angry or a lot of it angry? Is it a mouse-sized problem or a lion-sized problem? So, because again, that concept of size for kids is really difficult for them. Okay, if you're this angry, what kind of big thing can we do to bring you back?
What about this TheraPlay stuff?
I went to a training on it last year, and a woman, Phyllis Booth, and she has somebody else that she works with, but she's kind of the designer of this. And her big thing too is, and how do we bring adults into healthy, safe relationships with kids? So she designed a bunch of activities that might actually look very familiar to us, such as peekaboo.
Ah, okay.
Things like where are your toes, and can we find your toes in some of those games, but then really made it intentional about, like with peekaboo, it's about not doing the whole peekaboo, like I'm gonna scare you, but peekaboo, I'm supporting you. And so she'll do it like with kids, like you hold their hands, you know, and they'll do peekaboo like this, holding their hands, and or with their feet or other things. And again, it's about that eye contact. It's about having safe, healthy touch, because sometimes kids that have had trauma or abuse, they just touch to them, all touch is scary. And so we have to kind of work into safe touch. And so she's got tons of different activities, and some of them include things like using feathers. And so there's feathers and there's cotton balls. In the back of their hands, you might do, this one is a feather, and this one is a cotton ball. Now I want you to look away. We don't ask them to close their eyes until we know that they really feel trusting with us, because that's scary to close my eyes with somebody I don't know. And then we'll ask them to look away and say, do you think that's the feather or the cotton ball? And again, it also brings awareness to, here's where my body is. This is gentle touch. It's also kind of a nurturing type of touch. And we don't want it to be tickly, so we're really careful about not getting on the tickly side. Another one is just a feather blow, where you blow the feather and try to keep it up in the air. Really encourages the child to do a lot of breathing.
Breathing is important.
Breathing is very important. It's also fun. A lot of her activities try to bring joy and laughter and humor back into the relationship too. And then, you know, even things like hand checks, like how many fingers did you bring with you to school today? And then maybe even like lotion checks. Let's rub some of this lotion into those little, you know, freckles or whatever it is, and helping the child know that their hands are unique to them and are perfect just for them.
They're theirs.
They're theirs. And that we cherish them too, and that we respect that that's their body and their space, but we also want them to know that we're here to help and be safe.
Well, thank you for walking through some of these cool tips and tricks and techniques and feelings. So many feelings. And I'll put some more information about Tracy and where you can find her in the world in the description section down below. But thanks so much for chatting with me today and sharing with the world. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye. Watch the magic happen. Magic. I don't know. I don't know what this is.